Hi, welcome back to Finally Revealed. In this episode, I want to talk more about the CARES Act and how it pertains to your home, whether you are a renter or whether you are a homeowner and have a mortgage. This applies to you if those mortgages are federally insured. If you have a mortgage with an individual or you have a lease agreement with an individual or a company who does not have a loan on the property that is covered or backed by the VA or Freddie Mac or Fannie Mae or any of the governmental issued or insured agencies, including the Department of Agriculture, then this does not apply to you. So if you might need to make those other arrangements, I think if this does not apply to you, and however you reach out to make some arrangements with your landlord, or if you're paying someone individually and they don't have a mortgage on the property that's federally insured and they refuse to help you, I think that based upon this law you will probably get sympathy from the court. And so these people should, even though they're not covered by this law, they still should, even though they're not covered by this law, those types of situations should follow this out of fairness for our situation, okay? These cover situations that do not have to be documented. These cover situations and do not require separate paperwork. If someone asks you to sign separate paperwork, have someone help you read it if you're not sure. Because if you agree to something in writing, you're going to be bound to that. And if you voluntarily agree to something in writing, you're going to be bound by that. These rules do not require you to have to sign anything other than a statement that you have been impacted by the quarantine. You don't have to say anything specific, just acknowledge that yes, I have been economically impacted, not in a favorable way, by what is going on with the quarantine, and I need some relief. Or not even I need some relief, but I'm requesting it. On the mortgage part, it applies to single-family residences. That is property that is used for individuals or families 1 to 4 units. So this applies duplexes, single-family homes, and triplexes and fourplexes. Anything bigger is covered separately in a commercial section, but this is for individuals who own a duplex, a fourplex, a triplex, or a single family. And if it was purchased or rolled into a security under Freddie Mac or Fannie Mae, the Department of Agriculture, or VA, any of those types of loans, that applies to this. It also includes individual condominium units and individual cooperative units. So in those situations, if the homeowner or the person in the property is experiencing financial hardship directly or indirectly as a result of the coronavirus situation, then if you submit to the loan servicer that you are experiencing a hardship as a result of this situation, and that's all you have to say, then they can to 180 days, which is approximately 6 months of forbearance, and that 180 days can be extended for another 180 days. So roughly speaking, it can extend your payments out a year, but at 6 months at a time. If you receive one of those forbearance periods, you can also shorten it back up if your situation improves at your request, but they can't make you do that. Now, the forbearance kind of means an extension of time to pay. It means you don't have to make a payment during this period of time. And if you get a forbearance, then you don't have to make any payment, and they can't charge you extra for this. They can charge you and add onto your account the regular interest payments and regular fees or escrow amounts that are due, but they can't add on late fees, and they can't make up some new forbearance coronavirus fee. So pay attention to that. If you make one of these arrangements and then you receive documentation, or if you get a coupon book or some letter or something in the mail, make sure that they're not charging extra things beyond what your original loan And I think I said this, but they cannot require you to sign any new documents on this. Know that. And if they say this is what we require, they can't. Under federal law, they can't. This is an opportunity to set a boundary and say no. If you agree and voluntarily sign something, you will be bound by it. So they cannot require something in writing to confirm all of your terms unless you want. If you have one of these federally backed loans, they cannot initiate a foreclosure or follow forward with the foreclosure, whether it's non-judicial, which means the trustee records or records documents and transfers title, or makes publication and calls a sale on the courthouse steps, or if your state is a judicial foreclosure where they have to sue you in court to start the foreclosure process. None of that can be started unless the property is abandoned or vacant. So if somebody's in it and it's one of these federally covered situations, they cannot kick you out or start the process to foreclose and then follow through and kick you out until at least 60 days from when the president declared the federal emergency, which was March 18. So that takes you to May 17. So they can't do any foreclosures until after that date. If you get a forbearance with them, that forbearance has to be followed. And only after that forbearance is completed and then you fail to make a payment would any foreclosure then be allowed to be started against you. So those are two different things. If somebody does not do a forbearance, is already in default, and either a case was filed against them or publication, or they were finished with the foreclosure and they just have to have the sale, none of those things can happen to anybody until after May 17. If you enter into a forbearance agreement, which is extending out payments, modifying payments and such, that situation has to play out, and you can get that for 6 to 12 months. So you're already covered. So I just want to make sure that that's. Now on evictions, these also apply to VA, Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, Department of Agriculture backed loans. If you are in a property and you have a written lease, or you're in the property with no written lease but you have an oral lease, one that's agreed to, or maybe your lease maybe you have a written lease and you don't have a new written lease, but under the terms of your written lease it says if you stay after the end date of that lease, now you're a holdover tenant, then this applies to you. If, as I said, the property is subject to a federally backed mortgage loan, so you need to find that out if you're not sure, or it's a federally backed multifamily mortgage loan, which is a complex, and it probably is. So this would apply to you. Or the property is in a rural housing voucher program. The property is in a housing project covered by the Violence Against Women Act. So any of those situations, this applies to you. So for 120 days from the time the law came into effect, which happened on March 27, so until July 25, 2020, the landlord cannot give you a notice to vacate. And after they give you a notice to vacate, after those 120 days or July 25, they can't proceed to remove you for 30 more days after that. So if they wait till that date and they send you a notice on that very first day, July 25th, you've got 30 more days before they can require you to leave. And if they have not initiated eviction against you or any other process, they can't do that until this 120 days for non-payment of rent or fees or other charges. And they can't charge you any additional fees such as late fees. Okay? So that covers the mortgages and the rents during this quarantine situation. Write down the dates if you need to, circle back and mark those dates. Give me a thumbs up if this was helpful. If there's any questions, leave them below. Share this with people so they know their rights, okay? Once again, like the other videos, people are not going to come up to your door. It would be really nice if they did, if they gave a notice and said this is available to you, but this is available to you. It's not automatic. Contact them, make these arrangements. If your property is not covered here, because this is being offered to everybody else, they should also honor this. They don't have to, but they really should. The courts are primarily closed, so any actions by someone who still could not come under this and try to evict you, that is not going to happen tomorrow. So those processes are very slow right now, and most of them have been suspended. So don't panic if you're not one of these covered people, but if you are, and most of you are going to be these covered people, take advantage of this information. Reach out to them. It's still April. This started at the end of March. Make these arrangements. Give yourself a break. Give yourself some relief, okay? Share this with someone who might benefit. Subscribe to see our other videos. And thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.